At the keynote speech in Las Vegas, an attendee asked Jakob Nielsen to predict what areas may be most impacted by the evolution of user experience.
What I can say is I do think that we've seen empirically so far a dramatic broadening of the scope of user experience. So it really started out being only in the telecommunications, computer, high-tech business. Like Microsoft actually had a nice usability group probably about 30 years ago. They might have started that. So so then it grew from there and was more computer companies. But now it's really all industries. So I think it's more those cases where you can see more of the immediate business return. Those are the ones that currently has the most. So like e-commerce is a great example, because the conversion rate, like anytime you do like even the smallest project, you can just see your conversion rate go up, right? And so the business case is so obvious there, and so almost all of these bigger e-commerce companies have pretty good good teams by now. And then you go to those places where it's more indirect, and where particularly the cases where a lot of the B2B or enterprise style products, they are the ones that are suffering the most. Or intranets, we do a lot of work on actual intranets, the internal systems and companies, and they tend to often be very poorly staffed and have like just a fraction of the UX work done to them that the public-facing website has, because companies can easily see, we make the public-facing website better and we sell more. But honestly, if you make your internal enterprise software and intranets better, you get the direct bottom line impact of not having to pay for your own employees wasting their time. And anytime you roll out another enterprise product, what I'd like to say is you should envision your training budget for kind of high-tech rollouts. The training budget should be envisioned as a juicy pork chop. Just be ready to be eaten by user experience. Because training is, I wouldn't say all training is wasted, but it's kind of like training is the excuse for bad design. It's the cost of bad design. Now, we can't always design perfect, so there will be no training, right? But definitely, any training budget should be able to be cut in half if you do good design. And so, and then you have the daily use of these products, where the productivity advances can sum up to even vastly much more so. But that's sort of an argument I can make here, but it's kind of seems to be less something that strikes home more easily in the companies. So I sort of would predict, I have to say, sad to say, that that entire enterprise software field will still be suffering a lot. Another area seems to be suffering a lot are sort of like heavily branded products where people might buy just because of the name on it, and so the actual interaction design is not viewed as being as important. But I think, well, how do you build up a brand so that people think this is a great thing? Well, you do it by the experience. It's brand as experience these days in the interactive world. Brand is not like your logo or having some celebrity guy in an advertisement. Now, brand is the experience of the design. And so therefore, not to build a brand necessarily today, because that was built over the last 20 years, but how do you build a brand for the next 20 years will be through experience design. So even those guys will eventually get on board, because again, remember I was talking about the next 33 years, so it's not like necessarily in 2 years it'll happen, but it will happen eventually.